A group of 60 students at Franklin Middle School were asked which type of music they listen to more often, alternative or pop. Enter the ratio of students who chose alternative to students who chose pop. Describe the relationship between 45. Enter the ratio of students who chose alternative to the total number of students surveyed. Describe the relationship between 60 students. Way to go! A group of 48 students at Lakeview Middle School were asked which type of music they listen to more often, country, hip-hop, or rock. Enter the ratio of students who chose rock to students who chose hip-hop. Describe the relationship between 24 students and 8 students. Enter the ratio of students who chose rock to students who chose country. Describe the relationship between 16 students and 8 students. Enter the ratio of students who chose hip-hop to the total number of students surveyed. Describe the relationship between 48 students and 24 students. Last spring, Kai planted a total of 9 green peppers and tomatoes in the community garden. He planted 2 times as many green peppers as tomatoes. Make a diagram to show the amount of green peppers and tomatoes that Kai planted. Enter the ratio of green peppers to tomatoes. Camila planted a total of 16 radishes and carrots in the community garden. She planted 3 times as many radishes as carrots. Make a diagram to show the amount of carrots and radishes that Camila planted. That's it. Enter the ratio of carrots to radishes. Miguel picked a total of 25 tomatoes and cucumbers at the community garden. He picked 4 times as many tomatoes as cucumbers. Make a diagram to show the number of tomatoes and cucumbers that Miguel picked. Enter the ratio of tomatoes to cucumbers.
A group of 20 students and 4 adults are going on a field trip to the museum. Make a diagram to show the ratio of students to adults. What is the ratio of students to adults? Macy's aunt makes raspberry jam using 6 tablespoons of sugar and 8 tablespoons of raspberries. What is the ratio of tablespoons of raspberries to tablespoons of sugar? Macy's aunt makes raspberry jam using 6 tablespoons of sugar and 8 tablespoons of raspberries. Macy wants to make a fruitier tasting jam. Which ratio of tablespoons of raspberries to tablespoons of sugar would make a fruitier jam? Studies show that it is important to limit the time spent on electronic devices, for example phones, computers, TV, and games, and balance free time with other activities. Lamont surveyed his class on how they spent their free time during the week. Enter the ratio of hours spent using electronic devices to hours spent playing sports. What is the relationship between 30 hours and 15 hours? Jenny is making tie-dyed shirts for her class with her school colors, blue and yellow. She used a total of 8 ounces of fabric paint. The amount of blue paint is 3 times the amount of yellow paint. Make a diagram to show the ratio of blue paint to yellow paint. What is the ratio of blue paint to yellow paint? Complete the ratio.
You have a job at the Smoothie Cafe. Your first order is for 3 banana peach smoothies. Put bananas and peaches in the blender to fill the order. You need enough fruit for 3 smoothies. Try again. That's it. There are 9 bananas and 3 peaches and 3 smoothies. 3 to 1 and 9 to 3 are equivalent ratios, which means that they represent the same relationship between the quantities. Make half of a strawberry-blueberry smoothie. Way to go! 2 to 4 and 1 to 2 are equivalent ratios. Make 4 blueberry almond smoothies. Good work! 2 to 3 and 8 to 12 are equivalent ratios.
Oatmeal is made by mixing oats with milk or water and is served warm, typically for breakfast. The Corner Cafe serves a bowl of oatmeal with 6 ounces of water and 4 ounces of oats. Describe the relationship between the amount of water and oats in the ratio 6:4. Describe the relationship between the ratios 6:4 and 3:2. Nice. The Corner Cafe makes a bowl of oatmeal using 6 ounces of water and 4 ounces of oats. The Breakfast Shop makes a bowl of oatmeal using double the amount of water and oats. Describe how to find the amount of water and oats that the Breakfast Shop. Make a diagram to show the amount of water and oats that the Breakfast Shop uses. Oatmeal is thicker when made with less water or more oats. Oatmeal is thinner when made with more water or less oats. The chef at the Breakfast Shop decided his oatmeal was too thick. Which ratios of water to oats would make thinner oatmeal? Choose all that apply. You found one way to make thinner oatmeal. Now look for another way. Chili con queso, or chili with cheese, is a traditional Mexican dip. It is often made with green chili peppers or jalapenos and asadero cheese. One queso dip recipe calls for 4 pieces of cheese and 2 peppers. How does the amount of cheese in the recipe compare to the amount of peppers? Well done! One queso dip recipe calls for 4 pieces of cheese and 2 peppers. Hector triples the recipe when he makes queso for his family. Describe how to find the amount of cheese and peppers in Hector's. Make a diagram to show the amount of cheese and peppers in Hector's queso. Good. How does the amount of cheese compare to the amount of peppers after Hector triples the recipe? The number of cheese. At the community garden, Kiara uses a mixture of 10 cubic yards of soil and 5 cubic yards of compost. Cole needs 8 cubic yards of compost and uses the same ratio of soil to compost as Kiara. How many times greater is 10 cubic yards than 5 cubic yards? Complete the equation. That's it. Which expression shows how to find the amount of soil Cole needs? Cole needs 2 times as much soil as compost. Complete the ratio to compare the amount of soil and compost. Cole needs. Last spring, Macy bought 6 bags of soil. The soil fed her plants for 9 months. This spring, she bought 2 more bags of soil. Macy wants to know how many months she can feed her plants with 2 bags of soil. Complete the equation to show the relationship between 6 bags and 2 bags. Which expression shows how to find the number of months 2 bags of soil will last? How many months can Macy feed her plants? Roberto is purchasing mulch for his aunt's garden. On Saturday, he bought 5 bags of mulch. How much does 1 bag of mulch cost? Great! Andre is painting the recreation center as part of a volunteer project. The game room is 600 square feet, and Andre used 3 gallons of paint. The art room is 400 square feet. Andre wants to estimate how much paint he needs. How many gallons of paint does Andre need for the art room? Complete the ratio square. Andre needs 2 gallons of. Jade is mixing a shade of light blue paint. The directions call for 3 quarts of blue paint and 4 quarts of white paint. She pours 12 quarts of white paint into the bucket. How many quarts of blue paint does Jade need to add in order to get the same shade? Complete the ratio square. Good! To get the same shade, Jade needs to add 9 quarts of blue. The 5-gallon bucket of paint that Kenzie bought from the hardware store weighs 55 pounds. CJ is buying 1 gallon of paint. How many pounds does 1 gallon of paint weigh? Complete the ratio square. One gallon of paint.
On cold days, Leah likes to make hot chocolate. She uses 8 tablespoons of cocoa and 2 tablespoons of sugar. How does the amount of cocoa Leah uses compare to the amount of sugar she uses? What ratio is equivalent to 8 to 2? Complete the statement. On cold days, Leah likes to make hot chocolate. She uses 8 tablespoons of cocoa and 2 tablespoons of sugar. Leah doubles the recipe when her cousin visits. What is the ratio of tablespoons of cocoa to tablespoons of sugar that Leah uses when she doubles the recipe? How does the amount of cocoa compare to the amount of sugar after Leah doubles the recipe? Complete the. During Elijah's first basketball game, he made 15 baskets and missed 5. During his second game, he missed 1 basket. His shooting was just as accurate in his second game as in his first game. How many baskets did Elijah make during his second game? The students in Mr. Murphy's class are participating in a recycling project. After 2 days, the class collected 20 plastic bottles. They collected the same number of bottles each day. How many bottles did Mr. Murphy's class collect in 5 days? Complete the ratio square. Concrete is made by mixing together cement, sand, and water. Zahara mixed 5 quarts of dry ingredients and 2 quarts of water to make a batch of concrete. She ran out of the mixture before finishing her project, so she made another batch using 10 quarts of dry ingredients. How many quarts of water does Zahara need to add to keep the consistency the same? Complete the ratio square. You can use a table to show the two ratios are equivalent. The table below shows the ratios 1 to 2 and 3 to 6. First, let's look at the relationship between the ratios. Which operation can you apply to the ratio 1 to 2 to get the ratio 3 to 6? One times what number is 3? 2 times what number is 6? You can multiply each quantity in a ratio by the same number to create an equivalent ratio. Which operation can you apply to the ratio? You can also divide each quantity in a ratio by the same number to create an equivalent ratio. Now, let's look at the relationship between the quantities in equivalent ratios. Which operation shows the relationship between the quantities 1 and 2 and 3 and 6? One times what number is 2? 3 times what number is 6? You can multiply one quantity in each equivalent ratio by the same number to find the other quantity. Which operation shows the relationship between the quantities 2 and 1? You can also divide one quantity in each equivalent ratio by the same number to find the other quantity. Let's explore some more ratios. An architect designs apartment buildings with the same ratio of small to large apartments. Building A has 12 small apartments and 6 large apartments. Building B has 18 small apartments. Complete the equation to show the relationship between the number of small and large. Nice! How many large apartments are in Building B? Complete the table. Nina sets up tables and chairs at a restaurant. Each table has the same number of chairs. In the lounge, she sets up 4 tables and 16 chairs. In the dining room, Nina set up 5 tables. Complete the equation to show the relationship between the number of tables and chairs in the lounge. How many chairs does Nina need to set up in the dining room? Each week, the librarian displays the most popular fiction and nonfiction books at the front of the library. Last week, she displayed 9 fiction and 6 nonfiction books. This week, she only displayed 3 fiction books. She wants to keep the ratio of fiction to nonfiction books the same. Complete the equation to show the relationship between the number of fiction books displayed last. How many nonfiction books should the librarian display this week? At a cheerleading competition, squads perform stunts, such as pyramids, during their routines. They also perform jumps, tosses, and tumbling passes. It takes Kia's squad the same amount of time to complete each stunt. During the competition, the squad completed 5 stunts in 2 minutes. During practice, they completed 10 stunts. What is the relationship between the number of stunts completed during the competition and during practice? How long does it take the squad to complete 10 stunts? Five times 2 equals 10. What is 2 times 2? Samosas are a traditional Indian appetizer made from puff pastry triangles and filled with a variety of vegetables and spices. A samosa recipe calls for 8 ounces of peas and 6 ounces of diced potatoes. Brianna makes a batch of samosas using 24 ounces of peas. How many ounces of potatoes does Brianna use in this batch? Paper beads are made by rolling triangular pieces of recycled paper into a spiral. The beads are then sealed with a glaze to harden them. Tamika can make 32 beads with 4 sheets of paper. Right now, she only has 3 sheets of paper. How many beads can Tamika make? Mr. Carter's class is selling raffle tickets for the school fundraiser. They sold 12 tickets and collected $36. What is the amount collected for 1 ticket? Tiana looks at a map to find the best route from her house to her friend's house. The map has a scale of 4 centimeters equals 3 miles. The distance of the route is 8 centimeters on the map. What is the actual distance from Tiana's house to her friend's house? Remember, you can write a ratio with a colon. This ratio is 18 to 10. Complete the statement to show an equivalent ratio. Complete the statement to show an equivalent ratio. Which ratio is equivalent to 2 to 3? Which ratio is equivalent to 10 to 2? Which ratios are equivalent to 24 to 4? Choose all the equivalent ratios. Which ratios are equivalent to 14 to 6? Choose all the equivalent ratios.
A vinaigrette salad dressing is made with oil and vinegar. A recipe calls for 24 ounces of oil and 8 ounces of vinegar. Kim is making dressing with 12 ounces of vinegar using the same ratio of oil to vinegar. Complete the equation to show the relationship between the number of ounces of oil. How much oil should Kim use? Complete the table. Jasmine is training for an upcoming race at the track. On Monday, she ran 8 laps around the track, which is equal to 2 miles. On Wednesday, she ran 20 laps at the track. How many miles did Jasmine run on Wednesday? Complete the table. Hawaiian pizza is made with sauce, cheese, pineapple, and ham or bacon. Sasha made a small pizza with 4 pieces of ham and 5 pieces of pineapple. She is making a large pizza with 12 pieces of ham using the same ratio of ham to pineapple. How many pieces of pineapple does Sasha need for the large pizza? Complete the table. Complete the statement to show an equivalent ratio. Which ratio is
what's
equivalent
up?
to 1 to 5?
Can you hear me? Hello? Alright.
Which ratios are equivalent to 4 to 10? Choose all the equivalent ratios.
What's up? Oh no. Yo, it's
Jenna rode
New
on the
robot
bike trail one
forward.
afternoon. She biked 12 miles in 1 hour and 24 miles in 2 hours.
In like jailbreak.
Show the relationship between
like
the
I'm
number
getting
of
into
miles
jailbreak.
and the number of hours in the ratio 12 to 1. Show the relationship between the number of miles and the number of hours in the ratio 24. In both ratios, the relationship between the number of miles and the number of hours is the same. That means the ratios are equivalent. Marcus lives in New York City. He can walk 5 blocks to the recreation center in 10 minutes. At this speed, how many blocks can Marcus walk in 30 minutes? Complete the table. Nice work. Coach Curran's team has won 5 times and lost 2 times. He hopes that his team can keep this same ratio of wins to losses. If the team has 10 losses, how many wins would they need to keep the record? Complete the table. Because of the way that hummingbirds move their wings, they can fly forward, backward, and upside down. While in flight, some hummingbirds can flap their wings about 500 times in 10 seconds. At this speed, how many times might a hummingbird flap its wings in 60 seconds? Complete the table. Amalia makes trays by gluing tiles on pieces of wood. The picture shows one of her tile designs. Amalia wants to know how many black and white tiles she needs to make different numbers of trays. Enter the number of tiles needed to make 2 trays. Multiply each quantity by 2. You got it. Enter the number of tiles needed to make 3 trays. Enter the number of tiles needed to make 4 trays. You can create an equivalent ratio table by multiplying each quantity in the original ratio by the same number. Eli's muffin recipe includes 4 cups of flour and 2 cups of sugar. He makes a small batch that is half the size as well as several larger batches. Enter a ratio that represents half of these ingredients. Enter the ratio with 3 times as much flour and sugar as the small batch. Enter the ratio with 4 times as much flour and sugar as the small batch. You can create an equivalent ratio table by multiplying each quantity in the original ratio by the same number. It takes a lot of energy to get rid of trash, but it takes less energy to recycle. Recycling 100 aluminum cans can save enough energy to light up a room for 2 weeks. Estela wants to find the savings for recycling even more cans so she can use the information to promote a school recycling program. Enter the number of weeks of energy saved by recycling. Enter the number of weeks of Enter the number of weeks of energy. Enter the number of weeks of energy. Great work! Eva works at a sandwich shop. She works between 10 and 20 hours each week. Last week, Eva worked 18 hours and made $144. She wants to know how much she will make for working different numbers of hours. First, enter the amount Eva is paid for 1 hour of work. Enter the amount Eva is paid for working 12 hours. Enter the amount Eva is paid for working 14 hours. Enter the amount Eva is paid for working 16 hours. A pet store has a special offer this weekend. For every $120 that customers spend, the store will donate $3 to a pet rescue program. How much do customers have to spend in order to raise $1,000 for the pet rescue program? May is competing in a remote control car race. She can complete 15 laps in 24 minutes. Find how long it will take May to finish 20 laps if she keeps the same speed. Nice job! Daryl wants to see how much water is wasted by his leaky faucet. He put a 4-gallon bucket under the faucet. After 24 hours, the bucket was full. If the same amount of water leaks each hour, how much water will be in the bucket after 60 hours?
Katya makes crafts using glass jars. She can buy a package of 12 jars for $9. How many jars can Katya buy with $45? Complete the table. Trent added water to a pool. It took 3 minutes to add 9 gallons of water. How long would it take to add 18 gallons of water to the pool? Complete the table. A leaf blower runs on a mixture of gas and oil. The ratio of ounces of gas to ounces of oil is 40:1. How many ounces of gas does the leaf blower need for 2 ounces of oil? How many ounces of gas does the leaf blower need for 3 ounces of oil? How many ounces of gas does the leaf blower need for 4 ounces of oil? Yosef paid $10 for 6 avocados at the grocery mart. He wants to know what the price would be for buying different numbers of avocados. What is the price of 3 avocados? What is the price of 9 avocados? What is the price of 12 avocados? During a reading test, Enrique reads a passage with 640 words. It takes him 4 minutes to read the passage. How long would it take Enrique to read a passage that has 800 words if he reads at the same speed? Anna is preparing the soil in her garden for planting tomatoes. The directions say to use 4 pounds of fertilizer for 120 square feet of soil. The area of Anna's garden is 180 square feet. How much fertilizer is needed for a 180 square foot garden?
The Swainson's hawk migrates between North America and South America every year. These birds can fly an average of 100 miles every day to complete the journey. Find how far a hawk can fly in 15 days. Find how far a hawk can fly in 20 days. Find how far a hawk can fly in 25. Find how far a hawk can fly in 30. Find how far a hawk can fly in 35. Now let's see how relationships like this can be shown on a graph. Salsa is a sauce that is served with Mexican food, often as a dip. Salsa can be made with a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. When Eric makes a small batch of salsa, he uses 1 cup of chopped onions and 3 cups of chopped tomatoes. He wants to know how much of each ingredient to use in larger batches. Find the number of cups of tomatoes Eric needs if he uses 2 cups of onions. Find the number of cups of tomatoes Eric needs if he uses 3 cups of onions. Find the number of cups of tomatoes Eric needs if he uses... Good! All of the ratios of onions to tomatoes in the table are equivalent. You can graph these equivalent ratios to see the relationship between the quantities. Plot each ordered pair in the coordinate plane to show the ratio of onions to tomatoes in each batch. Lassi is a traditional Indian drink made with fruit, yogurt, juices, and other ingredients. Anik uses 8 cups of mango and 2 cups of juice when he makes mango lassi for his family. He made a table to show how much of each ingredient to use to make different sized batches. Plot each ordered pair in the coordinate plane to show the ratio of cups of mango to cups of juice in each batch. Locate the first term of the ordered pair on the x-axis and the second term on the y-axis. Nice. Which ordered pair shows an equivalent ratio of cups of mango to cups of juice? You got it. The ratio 20 cups of mango to 5 cups of juice is equivalent to all other ratios shown on the graph. Mr. Wu loves to make apple crisp. The table shows the number of apples Mr. Wu needs for different serving sizes of Apple Crisp. Plot each ordered pair in the coordinate plane to show the ratio of apples to servings. Which ordered pair shows an equivalent ratio of apples to serving sizes? The ratio 15 apples to 25 servings of Apple Crisp is equivalent to all other ratios shown on the graph. Students at West Side Middle School are having a car wash to raise money for an arts program. They want to know how much money they make for washing different numbers of cars. How much money can students earn from washing 4 cars? Plot a point that shows this ratio. Great! Complete the statement about the graph. Which ordered pair shows an equivalent ratio of cars washed to money earned? Central Grill is having a sale when you order at least 2 burgers. Customers can order several burgers at the sale price as long as they are in groups of 2. Plot 2 points that show the price of 6 burgers and the price of 8 burgers. Complete the statement about the graph. Which ordered pair shows an equivalent? Way to go! The graph shows the relationship between the number of players that sign up for soccer camp and the number of coaches needed. Complete the statement about the graph. That's it. The graph shows the amount of gas that Dario's car uses to travel different distances. Complete the statement about the graph.